Hello everyone, this is Max McGillivray from Beanstalk. Absolute pleasure today to have two key and hugely influential people from the South African fresh produce industry. Let's do ladies first. Lianne, say hello to everyone.
Hi everyone.
Justin, say hello to everyone.
Hi everybody.
Well done. So the purpose of this short broadcast, it's a bit of a teaser, a bit of a trailer for our main event. If you've already watched some of these, you'll be fully aware that Lianne and I and her fantastic PMA team in South Africa and our team in Beanstalk, we do a monthly broadcast to promote the best of South African fresh produce. And next Thursday, the 17th of June at, what is it? It's 1500 hours British summertime and 1400 hours South African time. We're going live with a full-blown broadcast about the citrus industry in South Africa. Well, we thought what would be really good to do is for you to gain a bit of an understanding, whether you be a consumer or in the trade, from one of the main masters of citrus in South Africa, being Justin. So let's just, if you're not fully aware, let's just give a bit of a background for Lianne and her team of the PMA. So the PMA is a key international trade organization representing companies from every segment of the global fresh produce and floral supply chain. The PMA helps members grow by providing connections that expand business opportunities and increase sales and consumption. Their mission is to connect, inform, and deliver industry solutions to enhance their members' prosperity. So as we said, we're going live with this citrus broadcast next week, and it's great to have Justin on board. And Justin is the CEO of the Citrus Growers Association, and I'm completely biased towards Justin and also the Citrus Growers Association, because they very kindly looked after me when I did a big trip through Africa 3-4 years ago. And Justin and his colleagues and his members, through them, we saw some of the best of South African citrus. And Justin, if it's okay, I need to start with a complaint for you. So Justin, are you ready for this complaint? I thought I'd go out and get some of your fantastic citrus from, and I went to my local co-op. So that's one of our local UK retailers. So I've got this lovely pack of citrus. And my problem is, and my complaint is that I bought it, I put it down in the office, and would you believe it? All the team nicked it. So I've only got three bits left. And I said, why have you done that? And they said, because it's so good. So my problem is, Justin, that South African citrus is too good. What are we going to do about this, please, Justin?
Well, that's a great problem to have, Max. And what I can suggest is go out and buy some more, and next time buy double.
Excellent. So Justin, could you give us a bit of an understanding about citrus? I was talking to my kids this morning, and they devour citrus like I do. Has citrus always existed in South Africa? They wanted me to ask you, or is it relatively new into the country? What's the background to citrus in South Africa, please?
Max, the first citrus was actually exported from South Africa in 1906. So I'm not too sure when it was planted, but it would have been planted at the same time as the ships used to call here on their way to India. You know, there were gardens planted in Cape Town to provide fresh produce for the people sailing between Europe and India. So that would have probably been the first plantings. We know that there's one orchard in the Western Cape in Citrusdal that's actually 100 years old. I still need to visit it. It definitely has been growing here for a long time, but it originates actually in China as a product. Yeah,
I never knew that. And where are you today? What's the size and scale of citrus production in South Africa? And just to sort of preempt that, I keep on coming up with this figure that in a conventional year, South African fresh produce exports 4.5 million tons of fresh produce. And I didn't know until we did a broadcast with Lianne and her great team on the wholesale sector that you also sell 3.5 million tons through your wholesale markets. What's the size and shape of citrus in South Africa today, please, Justin?
Yeah, Max, we've got 96,000 hectares under citrus, 96,000 hectares. So that's grown throughout South Africa. It's a widely grown product. So it's grown from the tip of South Africa and the Western Cape all the way up to the Zimbabwe border. And then from the East Coast in KZN across to the west side and the border of Namibia. That's a difficult one. So it's grown throughout the country. In terms of volumes, export volumes, we export 2.4 million tons a year. which equates to 160 million boxes. And we were doing some calculations the other day. We export for about 160 days a year. So that means 1 million boxes of fruit are passing down through our logistics chain every day. That's obviously imperative that the logistics chain just keeps moving.
Wow, that's fascinating numbers, and we're going to be very blessed on this broadcast next week that we're going to have Joe Shaw Roberts, who's the Insights Director for Kantar, and with Lianne help me with the three previous broadcasts that we've had. We did POM last month, and he did a masterclass on where the POM, where the top fruit industry is currently within South Africa, and he's going to do likewise for citrus. But from your own intelligence, your own gatherings, where is the citrus sector today? Are you seeing no growth, steady growth, phenomenal growth? And are you seeing a change of products as to what your members are growing?
Yeah, Mick, so we've seen massive growth over the last 10 years. In fact, the citrus farmers the growers can be very happy about their business in the last 10 years. It's been fantastic. And as normally happens in agriculture, farmers chase the next best thing, and so because there's been such good returns, specifically in lemons and what we call soft citrus or easy peelers, that's where the growth has been. So there's been additional plantings in both those sectors, and huge growth in terms of volumes of lemons exported and volumes of soft citrus. Grapefruits sort of flatlined, and as have oranges largely.
That's fascinating. Why have grapefruits and oranges flatlined, do you think?
Well, I think grapefruit generally is an older person's fruit. We all used to have it at breakfast. I love it. I'm an older person. So we saw a lot of our sales going to Japan and the UK, but they've started to reduce in those two markets. Interestingly enough, it's becoming a young person's fruit in South Korea and China, which are where all the growth is now. So it does seem to reinvented itself in those Asian countries, which is great. Oranges, I think, we've always sold such a huge volume of oranges. 75% of our basket in the past was always oranges. So I don't think necessarily a reduction in consumer trends, etc. I just think it's plateaued now and isn't really showing much increase.
Okay, and looking forward, and we'll find out more on this broadcast next week. So are you anticipating that this growth is going to continue unabated for the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, 160 million cartons is what we're forecasting for 2021. In the next 5 years, it will increase to 200 million, and in the next 10 years, up to 260 million. And now that's trees already in the ground. So we're not sort of anticipating or estimating or making assumptions about what people are going to plant. I mean, these are trees that we've got from our tree sensor in the ground. So that's an increase of 10 million cartons per year for the next 10 years. So there's a lot of growth coming.
Okay, and I suppose it must be difficult for a citrus grower to anticipate as to what they're going to grow, because obviously there's a long lead time from planting to actually harvesting. And I'm presuming that the Citrus Growers Association, you yourself and your colleagues, you can give that intelligence, you can give that analysis to your members as to what potentially they should be growing for that potential future market.
Yeah, we do try and assist, but it's quite a slippery slope, because if you give the wrong advice, guys stuck now with a tree for 30 years. So we largely leave it to the growers themselves to do their own research and decide on what the best cultivars to grow are. We do have our own cultivar company, which is funded by the growers. That's also looking out there for new cultivars. And then there are obviously commercial cultivar companies that are looking for new cultivars, advising growers, trying to find the next best thing, looking at trends and fashions. So the soft citrus world, a lot of new varieties coming in there, and that's where all the change is happening.
Okay, and this future growth, have you got a thought as to where the customers are going to be? Is it going to be the same customers that you and your members currently have now, or are you anticipating that the likes of Asia is suddenly going to start swallowing up more of your South African consumption?
So at the moment, about 40 to 45% of our product goes into Europe, and that's been our traditional market, and that's where it's always gone. But there has been an attempt to try and increase our footprint in Asia, and we increased from about 9% into Asia 10 years ago up to 16% now. So definitely a huge increase in Asia, and we anticipate that continuing in the future. And the other perhaps growth area will be in North America, specifically the USA. We only have access at the moment from the Western Cape and Northern Cape, but there is a final rule that's waiting for the Secretary of Agriculture to sign off on, and that will give the rest of South Africa access. And so there should be some big opportunities there.
Wow. And this last year, I've got to slightly lead the witness on this one. I presume this last year of the global pandemic, has it been relatively easy for South African citrus?
Yeah, no, easy wouldn't be the word that I'd use for 2020. It's been very challenging, to try and keep an industry running while everybody else is at home and not, and working from home or not working. So it's been quite a task to get the fruit to the port and through the port and onto vessels during 2020. But on the other side, we anticipated perhaps problems in the markets, which we didn't experience. We saw the fruit moving amazingly smoothly in especially Europe and the US. The Western culture seemed to take or see citrus as full of vitamin C and therefore good remedy for colds and flu. And so we saw a big increase in the EU and in the USA.
Yeah, I was thinking of you this morning, Justin, because we did a UK broadcast with a UK trade group called the AHDB, Agricultural Horticultural Development Board, and they're pushing a big element about leadership, because there's a worry about UK farmers not getting trained, not getting coached, not being good leaders. And we had this fascinating military chap on who also climbed to the top of Everest, would you believe? And when he was at the top of Everest, he suffered an earthquake, and they survived the situation. He's now this big speaker, and the reason for mentioning him was when in his presentation this morning, he was stating about how you must accept the situation that you're in, direction and reassurance, and focus on what you can do. You've very kindly sent me a document towards the end of last year as to what yourself, the Citrus Growers Association, had looked to present, had looked to action for all of your members. And I've been very privileged to see a number of similar documents, Justin, from grower groups in the UK, in Europe, internationally. I don't think I've seen such a comprehensive document as to how to accept the situation, the direction, the reassurance that you gave all your members, and focus on what you can do next. And I think it's all credit to yourself and the Citrus Growers Association, because look at the positive area where you are now. I expect at one point you thought the wheels were going to fall off, but now you're back where you are in anticipation of growing the business even further with your members. So you must be very proud of your members as to how they cope with the last year, with the 2020, Justin.
Yeah, so Max, you're referring to the CGA COVID Response Committee, which we set up. What we saw last year in March, we went into lockdown, and we saw that the peak of the pandemic would be exactly the same time as the peak of our season. And we deal with people in our industry. We're very labor intensive, and we could just imagine picking gangs or packing house gangs. Or the port people all going down with COVID and not being able to move a fruit. And so we went about trying to identify the risks and then scoring them in terms of impact and probability. And from that, we built up a matrix of action plan to address the risks that were the highest scoring in terms of those factors. And we met every week, including the chairman of Citrus Growers Association and 4 board members, every week for probably about 2 hours, and looked at this. And as I say, we therefore managed to get through the season.
Wow. Well done. All credit to you. You made a plan. And Justin, what would you like people to learn in the respect of the broadcast that we're going to be running with Lianne and her team from the PMA next week? What sort of key takeaways would you like people to learn about South African citrus, please?
Yeah, I think obviously the growth in the industry. The other aspects are around ethical trading. Around the labor issues. So we're very much behind the CESA program, which ensures that growers are treating their labor fairly and within the confines of the law, etc. Obviously, also on the environmental side, the growers are fantastic stewards of the environment. And I get the privilege of driving around to these farms and seeing what a great job they do in terms of looking after the flora and fauna on their farms, and not just farming the whole land, but leaving land open for wildlife, etc. And then, I just think the sort of the eating attributes, the nutritional value, and the quality of South African fruit. It's going all over the world now, and it really does. I get a lot of good emails back from people complimenting our growers on what they produce. So I think if we can get that message across, it'd be great.
Brilliant, and that's something that I'm adamant that I want to do. That this packaging and the products inside are fantastic, but the fact that it just says there's a tiny little bit there saying made in South Africa, and I want all of us to shout about that story about South African citrus growers and other South African fresh produce growers, because you all know it's got such a unique story, and especially the as you said, the fauna and the animal aspects. I think we're also really keen to shout about that on this broadcast as well. Lianne, what do you think? Is it true that your favourite citrus is grapefruit?
Actually, it is. It's the pink grapefruit I love to have. Oh. It's a little bit of a challenging one because it does like to shoot my eye when I cut it in half and try and eat it for breakfast. But I must be one of those old folks, Max, with my grapefruit for breakfast.
Well, we had grapefruit in our office yesterday. We were handing out segments, so I think we're all old golden oldies in that respect. But Lianne, so this broadcast that we got set up next week via the connections that you've got and via Justin's is going to be fascinating. So Lianne, is there anything else that you would like to promote about this PMA Southern Africa Beanstalk broadcast on citrus, please?
No, I think it's going to be a great broadcast. I've been chatting to our different speakers and sort of lining up the topics that we want to speak about. I think with the tremendous growth that our industry is going to be seeing coming out of South Africa, I think there's going to be some interesting discussions that will take place about collaboration, discussions around the research that's taking place in South Africa that really is part of the foundation in our citrus industry that keeps our industry ahead of the curve, and how that is sort of supporting this growth trajectory that South Africa is having, and also to overcome some of the challenges for market access. And then I think we'll also start getting some interesting debate about what I call sort of your club varieties versus your open varieties, the way forward. You definitely see two camps of sort of your global branded varieties coming out, and then, what's the role of your non-branded varieties for your growers as well. So I think there's going to be some good viewpoints and some robust discussions around those areas.
Fantastic. So we go live on Thursday, the 17th of June at 1500 hours British summertime and 1400 hours South African summertime. Justin, just to wrap up for us, what does success look like, say 3-5 years out for South African citrus, please?
If we can address two big challenges in the next 3 years, I think we would be very happy. The one is the logistics challenges. So in other words, in 3 years' time, if our ports are functioning efficiently with great equipment, good management, and happy workers, that would be one great accomplishment. And the other is if we could do a bit more on the market access side. So the USA open for the rest of South Africa. The Chinese lemon protocol completed, open market in Vietnam, and a couple of issues in India sorted out, then I'd be a happy man. Max.
Well done. So I'm just going to get out of the way my logo. So I just remember the date again, Thursday, the 17th of June, 1500 hours BST or 1600 hours South African time. Join us. Justin, Lianne, thank you very much.
Max, I'm just going to have to correct you. Today's the 17th. It's next week on Thursday.
Oh, Justin, I've never been good on details, have I? We'll see you next Thursday. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Max. Bye. Bye, Justin.
Bye.
Bye, Dan.